Hello everyone, we are in Reading today in the United Kingdom. We are here with Roger Lowe, the winner of the Ace Pigeon NFC 2022. This is actually when he was introduced to our products after winning this prize. He also won a voucher of £500 of products from CES Pharma, and this is how he got introduced to our products. Roger, how are you today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yeah.
We're gonna start with asking you to take it from the beginning. How did you start?
How did I start?
Racing pigeons.
Well, I started back in 1973. Okay. One of my neighbours had pigeons. I had a few different animals, rabbits, chickens, pheasants, which all you can do really is just look at those.
Yeah.
But my neighbour, who's still my neighbour now, he had racing pigeons, and I started getting into it then. But it was a big sport then.
Yeah.
But it's gradually declined over the years. So I've had them, as I say, from 73 through to 77. Then I had 3 years off and restarted at another address in 80. And I was at that address for 10 years, all of the 80s. And it wasn't a very good flying area really. So I moved to this address and things have just snowballed from there.
Yeah. And what were the best results you ever had over those years?
Up until I moved to this property, I hadn't done very good results, but since I moved here I've won over 10 nationals now, okay. 5 or 6 classics, and it's just gone on and on really.
Yeah. I'm
very consistent.
Yeah, you had a really great year last year, especially when we actually met you with after you won. Tell us a bit about this year, how it went and what's next.
This year's been very consistent again. As I said, I haven't won a national this year, but I've been in the top 10 on most races. So yes, I'm quite pleased with this performance this year, but as I say, I haven't won a national. Okay. I won the section in the national. I was 6th last week out of 2,500. That was the whole of the country again. So yes, I've been very consistent.
Okay. You said you have one more race to go with Allbirds?
One more race, which is Sigoni, which is the second longest race in the national, NFC national. Because in this country we've got 3 nationals. Okay. You've got the NFC national, you've got the BIC national, British International Championship Club, and you've got the BBC, which is the British Barcelona Club. I've won all of those over the years, but the main one is the National Flying Club, and their last race, Allbirds, that is next week. Okay. And that's approximately 400 miles to me. Okay. I won it 2 years ago, or 3 years ago is it now, and the father of that pigeon has been 2nd and 3rd open from that race point. Okay. And that's 4,000 to 5,000 pigeons.
And tell us about the young birds, because the young bird season is coming now. How are you starting to prepare with them? What are your plans with them?
Well, when I was in partnership, when I first moved here, I was in partnership for 3 or 4 years, and we went to the continent and found out about the darkness system. Right. And this is the early 90s. We were one of the first fanciers in the country to do the darkness system, and we were nearly unbeatable. We were taking the first 5 or 6 in the federation out of 2,000 to 3,000 birds and everything, but now everybody's on the darkness system. But I use a system called the sliding door system. Right. And that's keeping the hens, this is young birds, keeping the hens and cocks separate. Okay. And just opening the door on a Friday before you go to the race. I've won the NFC National with a youngster, and that was its only race ever. And then it went on to breed a young bird national winner.
And what are your plans usually with young birds? Do you race them in all the races, or what's your selection with them?
One of the biggest problems which we've got here in Reading is that when we race, we have to go down the West Country, west. That's inland, because we're so near to the coast. We're only 50 miles away from the sea. So on our inland programme we got to fly from the west. But when we fly across the channel, we have to fly from the south. So it's very difficult to get birds, especially young birds, swinging them from the west to the south.
Yeah.
But I'm basically only interested in south road flying. So my youngsters will go to the nationals, which are over the water,
Okay.
which are on the continent, France.
We want to ask you, how does a week before a race look for you, including feeding, supplementation, recovery, and preparing for the race?
Well, I basically do, with the young birds, I basically treat them, once they're on the separated, I treat them exactly the same as the widowwoods. I used to fly widowwood constantly for 10 or 15 years and done really well at it, but it came to the point where I was wasting a lot of good hens. So now I've only got one little loft on widowwood and the rest are on roundabout now. So I fly the cocks and the hens. But I use a breakdown when they come home from the race and gradually improve it as as it gets nearer to the race. But as I fly the channel, which is basically every 2 weeks,
Okay.
so I have to feed them slightly different over 2 weeks compared to 1 week.
Okay. And we've talked a bit inside. What are few products or a product that you like from our brand and saw a significant difference in your pigeons after using it this year?
Well, I'm very pleased with the products you do. I've been using the Ammo 40, which I'm very pleased with. The Elth oil as well, that's all very good. And the quality of the product is very good.
Mm-hmm. And when exactly do you give those two products in a week?
In the week I use the Ammo 40 twice a week. That's on the Sunday and on the Thursday.
Okay.
And the Healthy oil I use every day, sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, then maybe we can take a look inside the loft. Inside the loft. And
I'll show you
see
a few little things. Yeah. Now we all use ETS.
Yeah.
I'll show you how that works now.
Even if the sport is decreasing a bit, it's still very, you always have to come with something new each year, and well, everyone knows now about all the methods.
That's right, exactly what I was going to say. That's what I was getting at then. When we first started the darkness system, because when I started in the sport, I used to always have to ask experienced fanciers, why are my first bred young birds always the last to molt?
Yeah.
And nobody could tell me. As soon as we found out about the darkness system, it all came to common sense.
Yeah. So now it's just the small differences that.
See, everybody does it. When I first started in the sport, you only had farm corn. Now every product you can buy the proper corn for whatever time of the week you want to feed it.
Yeah.
It's completely changed.
So let's see. Tell us what are all the sections for?
This is a little widowwood loft I've got.
Okay.
These have stopped racing now. So there's 9 widowwood cocks in there, or was.
So you've raced this season with those also?
Yeah. This is just widowwood.
Okay. And they stopped for now.
Yeah, but there's only 4 left.
Yeah.
Out of 9. This is even worse. This section. There's only 3 left out of 12. Each section's got 12 boxes.
Okay.
This is an old loft I used to use open door flying, but now because we've got ETS, the ETS now, that's where they trap.
Yeah.
Through there, look.
Okay, let's go forward to see.
So this is the same scenario. So I've got 36 roundabout cocks.
Okay.
12 sections in each. As I'm racing, I don't normally disturb these during the day, but we make an exception for you. This is one of my main pigeons at the moment. This is a pigeon called Main 46. This is
What was it bred from?
It's bred from Marcel Albrecht cock and a Peter Venstre hen.
Okay.
She won the section in the national this year, and it's been very consistent, and it will probably be my pool bird this coming weekend.
Oh. And what's the moment when you get a pigeon into the reproduction loft? When do you move it? Based on what results do you move a pigeon into the reproduction loft and stop racing it?
Basically, if it wins a national and it's the right bloodlines. If it's not the right bloodlines, I'll probably carry on racing it. Going back to the ace pigeon, I've lost it. If you carry on racing them, you're going to end up losing them. So
Yeah.
if this does well, next week it's going in the stock loft because it's got the right bloodlines.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
His father was second and third open.
Very nice pigeon.
And as I say, when I was on Widowwood, there was 48 Widowwood cocks here, but now, because I'm on Roundabout, this section is where the hens stay.
Okay.
I'll just close these doors.
And
Mind it.
how do you train the pigeons before a race? Do you use here the training by car, or is it just around the loft?
No, training by car, because the old birds only have about 4 or 5 tosses up to 30 miles. And then once they start racing, they don't get trained anymore.
Okay.
As this is on Roundabout, the hens go out, fly for an hour, move the cocks down to here, let the hens in there to feed and water, let the cocks out, move the hens back in there, and
that's it.
that's it, yeah. Hour in the morning, hour at night.
Okay.
Now this is a young bird loft. This is what I call the B team. And the B team are the second round pigeons.
Okay.
The A team is further down. As you can see, my products. And this is coming. These are on automatics. I'm not on automatics in the racing loft, but my stock loft and the young bird lofts have got automatics.
And how much time do you spend on average a day with the pigeons?
I'm retired now, so it's not too bad, but when I was working as a builder, which is quite energetic.
Physical work.
Physical work, yeah. I used to have to spend 2 hours in the morning before I went to work and 2 hours when I got home. But now as I'm retired, the 4 hours are spent over the day, and it's more of a pleasure now.
Yeah, of course.
So I've got approximately 100 young birds, 60 in here and 40 in the A team. This is the A team here. This is the first round youngsters. Come in. Always have the radio on, not for the pigeons, but for me. Right, and this is, as you can see, these have all been trained up to 30 miles. They've had, the A teams had
And what's
8 tosses.
what distance did they go up to this year in the races?
The races inland, it would be 130 miles, and some of them will be going to the nationals, which would be 250. There's 4 sections like this. And at the end there's 3 sections, single sections. I use this on the floor.
And how often do you clean the drinkers if
The drinkers once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah. I used to race double widowed hens from this loft,
Okay.
but I don't do it anymore because it's too much work.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine had this loft last year, but he's packed it up now, so it's redundant. But this is where these are all the cocks because they're separated now.
Yes.
They're not paired. They're not paired at the moment. This is where the hens go.
Oh.
You've got widowed hens here from the first loft. We've got stock hens here from the stock cocks. I haven't got my keys with me, it's locked up.
Yeah, no problem. Just
Yeah.
take a video from here.
So this is where they winter.
Outside.
Yeah.
You had no issues with it being too cold?
No, it's been when the water freezes, you know, I hand water them then
Okay.
with the watering can. So yes, I've been very successful, some of these pigeons.
And how often do you bring pigeons from other fanciers?
I
How
like
often do you do it?
I like to bring in some in the winter to try them out, but I found that most of them don't do as good as the ones I've already got.
Yeah.
But I always like buying some in to see how they perform against mine.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to bring
Yeah.
some fresh bloodline from other parts.
See, these are single pens. I know I've got 2 in them at the time. Double grandson of Bess Kittle from Pippa.
All right.
No, you can ride in there. These are Gino Klitschko pigeons. 2 there.
So basically, here you try to reproduce the best ones.
That's it.
All right. Great. And that's for the round of eggs or the...
Oh yeah,
Thing
that's
on there.
write that down when they lay
Okay.
and where I move them.
Oh, okay. That's great.
I mean, there's 6 cocks here. I've had 50 young birds off of them this year.
Okay, Roger, thanks for having us
That's
here.
all right. Nice of you to come.
It was a pleasure to come to you and see such
It's
great
as
pigeons.
I say, it's the end of the season, so it's a little bit not as busy as it would be if I was pairing up, and
Yeah.
so
Of course. So thanks for having us. We hope to come, maybe next year or
hopefully.
at the end of the young birds if we
Yeah.
come into the UK. And we wish you good luck and we greet everyone that's watching.
Right, thank you very much.